Welcome to Home Farm. Today we're reviewing the Eve wireless motion sensor. Over the course of the last 5 years, we've been renovating our Victorian farmhouse and gradually dragging it into the 21st century. So we've added a lot of smart tech to our house.
So we've been testing out the Eve motion sensor for about the last month, and we have to say, we think it might be a real big game changer with regards to the electricity tariff spiraling and just keeping those electricity bills a little bit more under control.
So one of my favorite smart home products is the Eve Energy. It's a smart plug. We've used a lot of smart plugs, and this one really does stand out. Now, what we typically use ours for is to run our lights and our lamps in various rooms across the house. And we've set them on schedule. So what's really nice about the Eve Energy is that you can actually set it at sunset minus 45 minutes. So basically it comes on 45 minutes before sunset. And then we typically turn them off around 10:30 in the evenings. Now, the thing about that is that they are set in a schedule. So irrespective of whether you go into a room or not, those lights will come on, and basically you're just wasting energy. So the Eve Motion has been a real game changer from that perspective, purely because you can now set motion to actually activate those lights when you go into those rooms.
So basically your schedules go out the window, you remove your schedule so you don't have, for example, the living room lamp coming on at 6 p.m. and going off at 10. That just gets removed, and instead you use your Eve Motion sensor to actually trigger the lights to come on when you're actually in the room.
Initially, when you actually start using it, it's a little bit tricky, purely because you've got to use automations and a thing called rules inside HomeKit and across the Eve app. So it does take a little bit of time getting used to that. It took me a while to figure things out. I have to say that Eve's support team are absolutely terrific. I was initially struggling to get the Eve Motion to activate in the kitchen. And the reason for that is because I'd set a time to actually have the motion sensor to actually be working from. Because I'd set it at 10 o'clock in the evening and I wanted to turn it off at 5 o'clock in the morning, because it clicked over midnight, it wouldn't work. So I had to set two rules, one from 10 till midnight and one from midnight till 5 a.m.
Okay.
That sorted it out, but that's something I wouldn't have actually worked out by myself had it not been for the Eve support team. And that's another reason why I like using Eve products, because their support is really great and they do reply quite quickly.
Yeah, they've always been very responsive and helpful. Yeah, so when you think about just energy saving and keeping the electricity cost down a little bit, this is a very clever way, because when you actually think about it, for example, when we had the living room set to having the lamps, all the lamps coming on at, like, for example, 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on the time of the year, and then turning off at around 11. But during that period, you were spending a big chunk of that time in the kitchen actually preparing dinner. So we actually weren't in the room for like 2 hours of that time, or go in and out, and you have dinner and then you kind of go out and clear the plates and make a cup of tea and have dessert and blah blah, and then come back in. So you're kind of in and out an awful lot of your living room and all those spaces in the evening. And actually to have all of those lights on is actually does add up over time, doesn't it?
Of course it does.
So to have them off during those times and only have them on when you're actually physically in the room does actually add up to quite a saving over time. I also remember being a kid, and I remember my parents constantly saying, as soon as I left the bedroom, I was like, turn the lights off, turn the lights off. And, if you've got kids and you've got kids in different rooms around the house, and, you're downstairs cooking dinner and getting on with things, you don't know whether a kid or a couple of kids have left the upstairs lights on, the hallway, the bedroom and everything, and then come downstairs and spend the whole evening downstairs. Those lights really don't need to be on. So for example, having the motion sensor in hallways or in the kids' bedrooms, then you're not constantly nagging saying turn the lights off, and the lights are just going on and off when they need to. So to have the whole house running so much more efficiently, I think will make a big difference to your electricity bill at the end of the year.
It's also important to make the distinction that this is a motion sensor, it's not a camera. So you can be quite comfortable leaving it in a bathroom or in the bedroom because it's not recording anything. The only drawback of that is that the way that we've positioned ours, for example, in the kitchen, it does target the stairs, that when I come down in maybe like 5 o'clock in the morning to feed the cats, it'll activate the lights. But when the cats go up and down the stairs, it does pick them up too. So that is one thing that you just have to bear in mind. The flip side of that is that you can basically set the lights to go off after maybe after 5 minutes. So they can go off quite quickly depending on what you want to do.
But I do believe that Eve do provide a guide to help you kind of mount the motion sensor in such a way that you kind of avoid picking up the pets. But yeah, absolutely. I know we've got their Eve security camera, and it's really clever. The software is so fantastic because it can actually distinguish between whether you want to record humans, wildlife and animals, or those
people or cars or whatever it is.
Yeah, vehicles. So it's actually very, very intelligent. It definitely is, I think, the next generation of motion sensors will be be able to identify different things. But for the time being, yeah, it's just a question of mounting it very cleverly.
The motion sensor has also got the ability to read the amount of light that's in a room. So if maybe you've got a cellar or a basement or someplace really, really dark, when you go down those stairs or enter that room and the motion is detected and the setting is set at, let's say, 1 lux, which is virtually pitch black, that will activate the lights. And basically, if you've set it up in HomeKit to deactivate after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, when it stops sensing motion and you leave the room, it'll basically turn those lights off.
It is a water resistant product, so not waterproof. You can use it outside. So for example, if you wanted to turn lights on your patio or in a pathway, then as long as you position it somewhere that's sheltered, that's not getting direct water contact, then you can actually use the motion sensor outside as well.
It's got a 9-meter range and that's worked fantastically well. We've positioned the one in the kitchen about 7 or 8 meters away from the stairs, and it picks me up almost every time.
As we say on nearly every single one of our Eve reviews, it's very nicely designed, it is slick, it looks like an Apple product. The ones that we've got are white. Maybe when you're watching this video, they've got different colors, but at the moment it's just available in white. Really nice, it blends into the walls. Put it on a shelf and you just don't even see it. Really decent size. It's big enough to handle, so it's not fiddly, but it's not so big that you notice it on a shelf. So I think it looks really, really nice and just very simple. So if you're looking for clever ways to make your home more energy efficient and try and do anything you can to keep those bills down as much as we possibly can, I would strongly recommend looking at the Eve motion sensor. I think it's very clever. I think there's an awful lot you can do with it. And I think it's a very, very useful tool to have in your arsenal of controlling your home energy.
At the moment, we've only really been using our Eve motion with our lights, so that's bulbs, that's our strip lights and our Eve flares. But if you've been using your motion sensors for something really different and something really cool, please leave it in the comments below.
Yeah.
Because we'd be really keen to try that out ourselves.
So I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you did, please, as always, give us a thumbs up, show us your support and subscribe, please. We're after new followers. And don't forget to check out our other Eve product reviews, which we'll link up there and down below. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.